So good morning, students. We were discussing about choosing operating pressure in distillation column, right? So let's see some examples of choosing the operating pressure in distillation column. Of selection of example of selection of an operating pressure. Operating pressure. Right? For example, let's see the first example. Right? Now distillation of acetaldehyde right and ethanol at water system. Distillation of ethanol right and water right. So here it top product is acetaldehyde right, or top product or distillate product is acetaldehyde right? Top product is acetaldehyde right, and a boiling point is boiling point of acetaldehyde is boiling point of acetaldehyde is 20 degrees centigrade right. So if we operate this column right at 1 atmosphere right, then we cannot use water as a cooling medium. At normal water, I am talking about normal water, let's say is a 30 degrees centigrade, 32 degrees centigrade, for example, because this is at vapor at 20 degrees centigrade, and vapor at 20 degrees centigrade, right? And cooling water is 32 degrees centigrade. So simply now the heat is transferred from water to this acetaldehyde. Because 32 degree temperature of water is 32 degrees centigrade. Actually, we have to transfer the heat from this acetaldehyde to cooling medium, so that the acetaldehyde vapor becomes liquid. In that case, we cannot use water for the cooling medium. Right? That means this distillation column cannot run at atmospheric pressure. Right? Cannot column cannot run at atmospheric pressure, right? Because this acetaldehyde has a acetaldehyde, right? Boiling point is 20 degrees centigrade, right? And water temperature is 32 degrees centigrade, right? So we cannot condense the acetaldehyde vapor, right, by using normal water at 32 degrees centigrade, right? So we have to run this distillation column at different pressure if we want to use normal water as a cooling medium. All right. So to use water as a cooling medium, right? In that case, right, to use water as a cooling medium, right, in condenser, condensation temperature, right? Condensation temperature, right? At condensation temperature right must be greater than right must be greater than cooling water, right? Cooling water temperature, which is 32 degree centigrade, right? So this condensation temperature, that means temperature of this acetaldehyde vapor, right? Acetaldehyde vapor. Now this acetaldehyde after condensation, right? After the condensation, right? This acetaldehyde vapor, right? After right. So after condensation, right? After condensation, after condensation, right? This acetaldehyde vapor, right? Acetaldehyde liquid, right? Because after condensation it becomes liquid, right? Is stored in a tank, right? Stored in a tank, right? Which is exposed to atmosphere. Exposed to atmosphere. So if it is stored at normal at it is one atmosphere, then its boiling point is 20 degrees centigrade. Right? So we have to keep the temperature less than 20 degrees centigrade by refrigeration, right? Or by cooling, right? By cooling, right? So to reduce, right? So to reduce the cost for the storage or to avoid the use of insulation, right? Right? Or to insulation around the storage tank, or to avoid the use of refrigeration system around the storage tank, right? This boiling point of the acetaldehyde should be sufficiently greater than the atmospheric temperature, right? Atmospheric temperature, right? So no, after the condensation of acetaldehyde, liquid stored in a tank exposed to atmosphere, right? It requires right insulation, right? Insulation, right? And use of refrigeration, right? Let me write at atmospheric pressure. At atmospheric pressure. All right? Because at atmospheric pressure, boiling point of acetaldehyde is 20 degrees centigrade. So after more than 20 degrees centigrade, right, this acetaldehyde remains in vapor form, right? So we require cooling and insulation, right? To avoid this insulation and refrigeration, right? To avoid that insulation and refrigeration, right? Boiling point of right boiling point, right? Boiling point of right boiling point of acetaldehyde right, that should be increased. It should be increased. Okay, let's say we are keeping it, let's say around 50 degrees centigrade, right? Around say 50 degree centigrade. Right? So to get the condensation temperature of acetaldehyde, the required pressure at the top of the distillation column is increased. Right? To increase the temperature, so to increase temperature, right? Then pressure is also increased. Pressure is increased. Right? So if we increase to let's say 3 atmospheric, right? 3.6 atmosphere pressure, right? Atmospheric pressure, right? Then condensation temp, then the temperature, right? Temperature or the temperature of condensation, right? It becomes 60 degrees, right? To increase the temperature, right? Pressure is increased to 3.6 atmosphere, right? And condensation temperature becomes at 60 degrees centigrade. There is a much difference between this condensation temperature and cooling water temperature, 30 degree, right? Right? And even though we can store easily without much cost, right? So in this case, 3.6 atmosphere pressure, right, is maintained in the distillation column, so that its temperature, boiling temperature or condensation temperature becomes 60 degrees centigrade. 60 degrees centigrade, so that we can use water as a cooling medium. And water as a cooling medium. All right. So that because water is the cheapest cooling medium, right? So we can use the water as a cooling medium, and we can easily store, right? This acetaldehyde, right, without use of any refrigeration or without any use of insulation in storage tank. That is storage tank. All right. So in this way we can decide the pressure of distillation, that operating pressure in distillation column. Good morning, students. Right, separation of methyl chloride, right? Methyl chloride from, right, from chloromethane. That's from chloromethane, right? Now, generally, normal boiling point, right? Normal boiling point of methyl. This is so methyl chloride, right? It is a top product. It is a top product, All right. So the normal boiling point, right? Normal boiling point of methyl chloride is methyl chloride is minus 24 degrees centigrade, right? So to condense the methyl chloride vapor, you cannot use, right? You cannot use water as a cooling medium, right? But if we increase the pressure, right, a column pressure or column pressure, then let's say we increase pressure, right? Increase pressure, right, to 10 degrees centigrade. Sorry, not 10 degree, but 10 atmosphere, right? 10 atmosphere, right? Then condensation temperature becomes, right? Condensation, right? Temperature, right? That becomes now 47 point, and it becomes right, 47.3 degrees centigrade. Increase the pressure, right? That's enough, because now the temperature difference between this condensation temperature and water cooling temperature is sufficient. So in that case, we can use water as a cooling medium. Right? Water as a cooling medium. All right. Now the third is the distillation of ammonia from aqueous ammonia solution. Right. Third example is distillation of ammonia, right, from aqueous ammonia, right, solution. Right. Now the saturation pressure, right? Saturation pressure of ammonia at 40 degrees centigrade, right? Right. Let's say generally boiling point is around minus 32, right? Boiling point of normal boiling point, and boiling point of ammonia is minus 33 degree centigrade. Minus 33 degrees centigrade. Right? But we increase the pressure. Right? If we increase the pressure, right? Pressure and increase pressure, right, to 15 bar gauge, right? Then boiling point, right? At boiling point of ammonia, now it becomes 40 degrees centigrade, right? 40 degree centigrade, right? So cooling water in this case, cooling at water at 32 degrees centigrade is used. That is used. So this is how we can determine the operating pressure, right, inside a distillation column. Generally, it depends upon the cheapest cooling medium, right, used for the condensation, and for the condensation. But ultimately, the overall cost, right? Overall cost is considered, right? Overall cost is considered, right? In deciding the operating pressure, right? Now, next is the vacuum distillation. Right. Next is the vacuum distillation. Right. Vacuum distillation. Right. So generally, it is used. Vacuum distillation is used, right, to separate probably a heat sensitive material. Heat sensitive material. They used to separate the heat sensitive material, separate, right, and it allows and it it allows, right, use of right, cheaper heating medium, right, cheaper heating medium in a reboiler. All right. Now there are certain advantages and disadvantages of this vacuum distillation. Right. So let's see one by one. Advantages. Right. Advantages of vacuum distillation. What are the advantages? Right. So first advantage is it reduces or prevents, right? It prevents thermal decomposition, right? Thermal decomposition, right? 1 minute. Right? It prevents thermal decomposition of, right, thermal decomposition of, right, heat sensitive material. Right? Heat sensitive, right, material. Right? Right? Thermal decomposition means it loses its chemical properties. And it loses chemical properties. Any substance which loses its chemical properties, right, at high temperature, not high temperature, but at any temperature, right? And they are called as a heat sensitive material. The substance generally which lose its chemical properties, right, normal at its normal boiling temperature, right? They are also called as a heat sensitive material, right? But using this vacuum distillation, we can prevent the thermal decomposition of any heat sensitive material, right? For example, I've already given one example, right? For example, a separation of, right, separation of, right, monochloroacetic acid, separation of monochloroacetic acetic acid from, right, from acetic acid. Right. Now, generally, normal boiling point of, right, normal boiling point of monochloroacetic acid, right, boiling point is, right, boiling point of monochloroacetic acid, boiling point of monochloroacetic acid, which is equal to 120 degrees centigrade. Right, 120 degrees centigrade. All right, and at 20 degrees centigrade, right, this monochloroacetic acid is degrades, or thermal decomposition of monochloroacetic acid occurs at 120 degrees centigrade. Right, 1 degree centigrade. Right, but if we keep, right, if we keep, let's say I'm right, at 120 degrees at 120 degree centigrade, right, a monochloroacetic acid, monochloroacetic acid degrades. Right, that means thermal decomposition. And thermal decomposition takes place. Right? But if we keep, this is the at normal boiling point or at atmospheric pressure, right? At atmospheric pressure, right? But if we keep, right, if we keep at vacuum or 40 torr absolute pressure, right? Absolute pressure, right, at bottom, right, then boiling point, right, then boiling point, right, boiling point of monochloroacetic acid now becomes 109 degrees centigrade. Right? 109 degree centigrade, right? And degradation temperature is 120, right? Thermal decomposition takes place at 120 degrees centigrade. But if we keep the pressure, right, a 40 torr absolute at the bottom, then the boiling point of monochloroacetic acid become 109 degrees centigrade. And at this temperature, at 109 degrees temperature, right, thermal degradation can be avoided, so that we can easily separate the monochloroacetic acid, right, from acetic acid, right, by keeping vacuums, right? So this 40 torr absolute is nothing but the pressure below atmospheric. This is the vacuum. Let me write this. This is the, right, vacuum. Right. So by using this vacuum distillation, right, substance, heat sensitive material can be separated easily. This is the first application of vacuum distillation. Not application, but advantages. We are talking about the advantages. Right. Now, second advantage is, all right, allows, right, it allows use of more economical right? Economical heating medium. Heating medium, right? Like saturated steam, right? Saturated steam, right? Rather than hot oil, right? So this hot saturated steam and hot oil both are used as a heating medium in reboiler, right? Heating medium in reboiler, right? For example, separation of, let me take an example, right? We discuss advantages with the example, right? For example, for example, right? Separation of, right? Separation of water and ethylene and glycol mixture. Glycol, right? Mixture. Right? Now here the ethylene of ethylene glycol, right? This is the bottom product. Right? Ethylene glycol is the bottom product. Right? Bottom product. That product. Right? Obtained at 190 7 degree centigrade, right? So if we carried out this distillation at normal temperature, right? At normal temperature, normal pressure. I'm sorry. At normal pressure, right? To separate or to achieve this 190 degree centigrade, right? What oil is used? What oil, right? Is used, right? What oil is used, right? Which is costly, But if we apply vacuum, right? Apply that vacuum, right? So that this boiling temperature, right? Boiling temperature that will be reduced, and boiling temperature is, you know that as the pressure is reduced, right? Boiling temperature is reduced. Excuse me 1 minute. Right? So if we apply this vacuum, right? If we apply this vacuum, right? Then its boiling point, boiling temperature that will reduce, right? So apply vacuum, right? To reduce, right? Bottom temperature, at temperature, right? To bottom temperature to, let's say 180 degrees centigrade, right? Then to keep one or to achieve 180 degree centigrade, right? Saturated steam, right? saturated steam is used, right? Which is cheaper than, right? This saturated steam is cheaper than, right? Cheaper than this hot oil. Right? Hot oil. This overall cost is less. And because we know that to apply the vacuum, energy is also required, energy. Right? But the overall cost, even though we apply the vacuum and we reduce temperature to 180 degrees centigrade, now we can use the saturated steam instead of hot oil. And hot oil, right? So by applying this vacuum, we can use, we can allow the use of more economical heating medium, right? So in this case, we can use saturated steam instead of hot oil, which is cheaper than hot oil. This saturated steam is cheaper than hot oil. All right. This is again advantages by using the vacuum distillation, right? Now, third advantages is it reduces at number of theoretical stages or any theoretical stages or any real stages, right, required, right, required, or it lowers reflux ratio. Right, reflux ratio. Now we know that the relative volatility, right? Because relative volatility, relative, right, volatility, right, depends on, right, depends on pressure, right? So lower pressure, okay, if we reduce pressure, right, then relative volatility increases. Relative volatility increases. So the gap between the operating line and equilibrium curve, right? This will be increased gap, right? Now you know that. Sorry. Right. Now we know that. Right. So if this is the diagonal curve, right? You have studied that. And this is the y into is equal to x, right? So depending upon this is the y, this is the x. Where y the mole fraction of mole volatile component in vapor, x is the mole fraction of mole volatile component in liquid, right? So if the relative volatility is more, so this gap between, right, this gap between equilibrium curve and the diagonal curve is more, like this. Like this, right? This is the alpha. Let's say this alpha is equal to 4, right? So if the relative volatility is reduced, then this gap is become less, like this, like this. Where here alpha is equal to, let's say this is just example. So if this gap between this is the equilibrium curve, right? Which depends upon the alpha. So if this gap between this operating curve and equilibrium curve is more, then it requires less number of stages. And it requires the less number of stages, right? So by applying vacuum, relative volatility between two substances that will be increased, right? So it's okay. So it requires it reduces the number of stages required, right? Either theoretical or actual, or it lowers the reflux ratio. All right. So again, it is a example advantages of using vacuum distillation. I think it's the third advantages. Right. The fourth advantage is right. So in some cases, not in all cases, but in some cases, vacuum breaks azeotrope. Right? Next, azeotrope. Right? Now we know that ethanol and water system, right, forms azeotrope. Right? We know that, right? At no atmospheric pressure, right? I think it's around, I don't know exactly, but I think it is 89.4%, I think. Right? Ethanol. I think it is a mole percent. Ethanol. Right? So I think it is at atmospheric pressure, right? At atmospheric or at normal condition. Right? Ethanol and water forms azeotrope, right? At 89.4 mole percent ethanol. Right? But if you reduce the pressure, right? Reduce the pressure at below, right? Reduce at pressure at below at 70 torr absolute. Then this azeotrope, right? Azeotrope breaks. Right? Azeotrope breaks. Right? Or azeotrope do not forms. Right? Azeotrope do not form. All right. So that the separation between ethanol and water becomes easily, right? So it requires only a single column, right? So in to separate the ethanol and water, right? As it forms the azeotrope, azeotropic distillation is required. Right? Azeotropic distillation is required, which requires a more number of columns. And entrainer is also required. Entrainer. The overall cost will be increased, and if you use the azeotropic distillation. Right? But if you only reduce the pressure, column run under in vacuum, right? The pressure below 70 degree torr, then this azeotrope do not forms. That azeotrope not forms. That means now these two components are separated in a single column, right? In a single column, in a normal distillation. All right. So again, it is a advantages using the vacuum distillation. Now, next advantages is, right? And so it reduces the undesirable site reaction, right? It reduces undesirable and site reaction. Right? For example, distillation of distillation of ethyl benzene and styrene. Ethyl benzene and styrene mixture. Styrene mixture. It is carried out at normal boiling, a normal pressure, at an atmospheric pressure, and then polymerization takes place. Polymerization takes place. Right? But if we operate under vacuum, right? Operate under vacuum, then this it reduce the polymerization, right? Polymerization. Right? So polymerization again is a reaction. Right? By operating column under vacuum, right? The side reaction or undesirable reaction, right, can also be minimized. Right? The next advantage is right? Now it also provides that safety in distillation of, right, provides right, safety in distillation column. Right? Or distillation, not distillation of toxic or hazardous components. Toxic or hazardous, right, components. Right? For example, right, separation of right, 100% nitric acid, right, from azeotropic mixture of nitric acid, right, and water. Correct? This mixture is separated by using extractive distillation. Right? By using extractive distillation. I hope you studied extractive distillation in mass transfer. Extractive distillation. Right? Now we know that the azeotropic distillation and extractive distillations are used, right, when relative volatility between two substances is very less, or right, is very less. Right? So in azeotropic distillation, the third component is added, is also called as a entrainer. Right? While in extractive distillation, also third component is added, which is called as a solvent. Right? Entrainer in azeotropic distillation and solvent in extractive distillation. Right? Here solvent is used. Solvent is used is here sulfuric acid. As sulfuric acid. Right? So as it is a acid, right? A strong acid is used. We cannot use the metal, right? Metal column, right? But instead of this, that MOC, right? MOC for this column is right. MOC, material of construction, for and MOC for this column, that is borosilicate and glass. And borosilicate glass. All right. So this borosilicate glass cannot be withstand with pressure and with pressure, right? So in that case, a column operates under vacuum, right? Column and operates under, right, vacuum, flat vacuum, right? Under flat vacuum, right, for safety purpose, right, for safety purpose, right? Because see, certain at higher pressure, right, this borosilicate glass, right, maybe break, right, right? So the material will spread, right? It can damage the person around working around the column, all right, or any other, all right? So this vacuum, okay, also used for the safety purpose in some cases, right?
Okay, so that's it for today's lecture. All right, so we'll continue in next lecture.